Hello, it's Wendy here. It's about 7:15 on Tuesday evening and I'm walking up to the Civic where the Town Council is due to be meeting tonight. And I'm going there for the first time as a member of the public to voice my concerns about the decarbonisation plan of the Civic, which current estimates put in £174,000. Now, majority of this is coming from a grant, but the contingency is being shouldered by the Town Council, and they've already agreed £25,000 as well towards solar panels, and the contingency that's been agreed is £10,000. So in total, £35,000 has been agreed for a decarbonisation plan. Now, I haven't seen the feasibility study. I'm going there tonight to ask about this, and I haven't seen costings, all of which may be available. So I wait to be elucidated with the full facts, armed with the full information. I'm hoping they'll be able to provide it, because I think the good people of Alsager demand some answers to where their taxpayers' contribution, i.e. the precept, which goes to the Town Council, how this is being used, because there are lots of questions about how that money is being used and not many answers. In other news, you might have seen that the part of this funding, which has come from central government, which was allocated for Congleton, the project has been paused. Now, whether this is temporary or permanent, again, remains to be seen, but it's been paused because the costs have risen exponentially, and the Town Council in Congleton have decided to freeze the decarbonisation of Congleton Civic Centre. So I will report back later about what happens tonight. See you soon. Okay, so it is now 9:15 and I've just made my exit from the Town Council meeting, which, to be fair, actually was their annual meeting, so there was a lot of paperwork to get through, a lot of bureaucracy. Although I get the feeling that it's probably quite heavy on bureaucracy most of the time, so that's going to be interesting if I win a seat on June the 5th, and I'm hoping you're going to vote for me for Reform UK, Wendy Whitaker Large. Just put your cross in that box when you get your polling card, when you take it to the polling booth, or if you're doing a postal vote. Anyway, that said, let me give you a bit of feedback on what happened tonight. So I went to the Town Council meeting to raise some questions about the decarbonisation plan, and obviously if you've seen my earlier video you'll know what that was all about. And what was very interesting actually was when I stood up to explain and to read out my questions, which I'd had to submit prior to the meeting, and give some background and context to my challenge about the decarbonisation plan, I felt there was a shift of atmosphere in the room, and the answers that were that sort of ushered forth from various different councillors were very interesting. One of which was, we haven't decided yet. We haven't definitely decided we're going to go ahead with this plan. Another one was, well, the boilers are going to need replacing in 2027 anyway, and so, we need to do it. We might as well do it now. Another point made was that the cost of the project is going to be £175,000, but only £25,000 has been committed so far, and that £25,000 is for solar panels. That does come out of the Alsager Town Council budget, their precept, but the rest of it is going to be funded by the government. Although actually, interestingly, they've also agreed a £10,000 contingency fund, so it isn't 25,000, it's 35,000. But I didn't have the opportunity to sort of rebut that. It wasn't really open for me as a member of the public to discuss it with the councillor. The point that worried me deeply though, and if I had been a councillor I would have objected to this most strongly. The councillor who was answering my questions said that the money, about £144,000, is not coming from the Town Council. It's coming from a grant. Now, what I would have liked to have known is, but where does the grant come from? Because the grant is not from a magic money tree, is it? It isn't just from some amazing financial printer in the sky, and we switch it on when we need more money, and hey, presto, the money appears. It actually comes from taxpayers. So that money has already originated from taxpayers. And it may well have found its way through the river, through the tributaries of government, the many complex methods, lanes, highways and byways through which taxpayer money flows. But ultimately it's ended up in the pocket of I think it's the SDS grant, which is the Government Decarbonisation Scheme. And Cheshire East have got a handle on it, and they've decided to bid for £10 million, which they've been successful, and Alsager has a share of that bid. But I felt it was totally wrong, totally subversive, totally duplicitous to state that that money is a grant, because that is not funding that has come from a businessman or a philanthropist or some other private source of finance. This is funding that has come from the government. It is grant funding from the government, which you can look at its roots, you can search its roots back, and it comes from taxpayer money. So it is duplicitous to say that this isn't taxpayer funding. It is taxpayer funding. It just so happens to be centralised. But that's exactly what we in Reform UK are fighting, is centralisation of planning, centralisation of resources, centralisation of funding. We want more money to be back in the taxpayer's pocket so that you can spend it where you want to spend it, not where the government chooses your money will be spent. So tonight was a very interesting meeting. They're going to apparently write to me because I had about 7 questions, and I think they felt a bit flummoxed by all the questions because I was asking a lot of detail about the project. And I'm waiting to hear from them in a written reply what those answers will be. And when I get those answers, I will share them with you so you too can understand. What was also fascinating was that following the session of open questions from the public, of which there were no more, it was just me, there was a motion to analyse further the decarbonisation project. And the councillors all moved a motion to change the wording of this particular motion, and to state that rather than it being a successful project, that they would support a successful bid or a successful project, it had to be economically viable. Now this of course opens the door to a lot more vigorous assessment of this particular project, because if they want it to be economically viable, and that's now in the minutes of the meeting, then I think that's a real win for us as a party. That simply going and standing up at a public meeting and pressing the council on what this decarbonisation plan really means, where the money is coming from, how it's going to be spent, how it's going to prove cost effective, especially when footfall is falling, all of that may have made them think that perhaps this isn't such a good plan after all, and maybe we should think about how the public is responding to this, and maybe we should backtrack a little. Well, if you vote for me on the 5th of June and I get in to be a town councillor, I will be pushing this agenda even further, because it is a huge waste of money. And if you look at my earlier video, you'll see exactly why. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you very soon.